The wind off the Atlantic Ocean sounded like screaming. Along the isolated stretch of Ocean Parkway near Gilgo Beach, Long Island, New York, the darkness felt different. Drivers who traveled the road late at night often described the same sensation, the feeling that something was wrong out there. To one side was the black ocean, to the other, miles of marshland and tall beach grass that swallowed sound. For years, people disappeared. Most of the missing women were forgotten quickly by the public. Some worked online escort ads, some had difficult lives, some were estranged from family. Their disappearances barely made local news. Then the bodies began to appear near Gilgo Beach, Long Island, New York. Police searching for one missing woman discovered human remains hidden in the brush along the parkway. Then another set, then another. The discoveries transformed a missing persons investigation into one of the most horrifying serial murder cases in American history. The road became feared across Long Island. Late at night, headlights cut through the darkness while ocean fog rolled over the pavement. Locals avoided pulling over there after midnight. Some swore they saw abandoned vehicles parked near the dunes at impossible hours. One woman connected to the case placed a desperate 911 call before vanishing into the darkness. "Please help me," she cried into the phone. Her breathing shook violently. "They're trying to kill me." The dispatcher struggled to understand her location. Wind roared through the phone line. Then another voice entered the call, a calm male voice. "Relax," the man whispered. That was what investigators later found so disturbing. He did not sound angry. He did not sound panicked. He sounded comfortable. As the investigation grew, detectives realized the killer understood the area extremely well. Ocean Parkway was the perfect hunting ground, isolated, dark, empty for long stretches of the night. There were few cameras at the time, few witnesses. Endless places to hide remains beneath marsh grass and sand. Some investigators believed the killer may have traveled the same roads every day like an ordinary commuter. That idea terrified people the most. The monster was not hiding in abandoned buildings or forests. He was blending into normal life. A family man, a professional, someone standing beside strangers in coffee shops each morning. For years, the mystery consumed Long Island. News helicopters circled overhead. Families begged for answers. Detectives covered walls with maps, phone records, and photographs. Meanwhile, the Atlantic Ocean continued crashing beside the highway every night as if nothing had happened. One local reporter became obsessed with understanding how somebody could commit such horrors without being caught for so long. She drove Ocean Parkway repeatedly after midnight. Every time she noticed the same thing: the silence. No homes, no pedestrians, no sounds except the wind and distant waves. One night, she pulled over near the dunes. The darkness beyond the tall grass was complete. Then headlights suddenly appeared behind her. A dark SUV approached slowly. Its windows were too dark to see through. The vehicle stopped behind her car. For several seconds, neither vehicle moved. The reporter felt her heartbeat pounding in her throat. The ocean wind screamed across the marsh. Then the SUV quietly drove away. She later admitted that moment finally made her understand the fear the victims must have felt. Because out there, on that road, nobody could hear you. As years passed, investigators eventually connected evidence to a suspect inspired by the real-life arrest of entity people, Rex Huerman, Gilgo Beach suspect. The revelation shocked the public. The suspect was not a drifter hiding in shadows. He was an architect, a man who lived an outwardly ordinary life, a man who moved through society unnoticed. People who knew him struggled to reconcile the image. Neighbors described routine suburban life. Co-workers described a normal professional. But investigators believed another version of him existed after dark, a version that hunted vulnerable women along isolated highways beside the Atlantic Ocean. Even after arrests were made, the case continued haunting Long Island because many questions remained unanswered. Some victims still have not been fully identified. Some cases connected to the investigation remain unresolved, and Ocean Parkway still exists exactly where it always has. Cars continue driving past the same beach grass, the same marshes, the same darkness. Most drivers pass through without thinking, but locals know. After midnight, that road feels different. Like the darkness remembers, like the tide remembers every name. The reporter could never shake the feeling that the road itself held memories. Long after the arrests dominated headlines, she continued researching the case late into the night. Boxes of evidence, photographs, maps, and missing person reports filled her apartment. Every document revealed another horrifying detail. Phone records, burner phones, victims who vanished after getting into vehicles with strangers, witnesses who remembered hearing screaming carried by the wind. The deeper she dug, the more the case stopped feeling like a normal criminal investigation. It felt like something ancient hidden beneath modern life. Because the terrifying truth was not simply that a killer existed, it was that he had existed among ordinary people for years without detection. He attended meetings. He stood in grocery store lines. He drove Long Island roads surrounded by commuters. Meanwhile, investigators believe another version of him emerged after midnight. A patient predator driving through darkness beside the Atlantic Ocean. The reporter interviewed retired detectives who admitted the case changed them permanently. One detective confessed he could no longer drive Ocean Parkway alone. Another admitted he began checking locks repeatedly every night before sleeping. One investigator described the overwhelming silence of the search areas. He said that silence was the worst part. No birds, no traffic, only wind moving through marsh grass while officers searched for bodies beneath the earth. The reporter asked him what he thought when they discovered the remains. The detective stared quietly for a long time before answering. "I remember realizing the killer probably stood exactly where we were standing," he said, "watching the same ocean, hearing the same wind." That thought haunted the investigation. The killer knew the landscape intimately. He understood tides, he understood isolation, he understood how darkness could erase evidence. Some nights, the reporter replayed the old emergency call recordings repeatedly. The terrified breathing, the panic, the distant male voice. She became obsessed with the calmness in that voice. It sounded controlled, experienced, detached, like somebody who had done terrible things before. The case eventually became larger than Long Island itself. National media descended on the beaches. True crime investigators analyzed every clue. Online forums filled with theories. Families waited desperately for updates year after year. But despite the headlines and investigations, the fear remained deeply personal for local residents. People who lived near the beach roads described avoiding certain areas after dark. Parents warned teenagers never to stop on Ocean Parkway late at night. Drivers who experienced car trouble there often described overwhelming panic while waiting for assistance, because everyone knew what had been discovered hidden beside that road. The reporter eventually returned to Gilgo Beach one final time during winter. Snow covered parts of the dunes. The Atlantic Ocean looked black beneath the clouds. The beach appeared peaceful, beautiful even. That contrast disturbed her most. How somewhere so visually calm could hide unimaginable violence. She walked slowly beside the tall grass where investigators once searched. The wind howled across the coastline. For a moment, she imagined all the unanswered questions still buried there. Unknown victims, unknown nights, unknown horrors. Then she noticed tire tracks near the edge of the road. Fresh tracks. A dark SUV passed slowly in the distance. Her chest tightened instantly. Even after everything, fear still lived there. The vehicle disappeared into fog. The reporter stood alone beside the ocean, and in the endless sound of waves crashing against the shore, she understood why the case continued haunting people. Because places remember violence, and some roads never stop carrying ghosts.